I'm Chanel, and today I'm doing the hashtag One Deck Gone Wild, which is VR to Rose Honey Ritual. That's who I saw it on, but I think it was a community tarot tag. They were all on a Discord and sort of made the tag together. So I don't know who collaborated, but I saw it on Rose Honey Ritual. So basically you pick one deck and then you answer all the questions based on one deck. So the one deck that I'm choosing is the Tarot of Oneness by Robin Voicey. So this is an indie deck. And the first question is, why did you pick this deck? And for me, it's because it is not homogeneous. I thought, let me pick a deck that is really varied so that I can answer all of the questions, because I have quite a variety of imagery to choose from. So that's why I've picked this deck. So now I'll get started on the other questions. So question number 2 is favorite set of minors. So all of the same. Look, this might be a bit cheating because they're aces, but I picked the aces. So we have the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Pentacles. I'll just move them around so you can see them. I like the aces in general, you know, new beginnings and all that sort of epitomize the start of each court as well, really infused with the energy of that court. And in this deck, they're all animals and they've all got their little tokens. I think it's super cute. They're really cute. And I like the energy of the animals that they picked to represent the different courts, although the koi fish for Ace of Pentacles, I'm like, yeah, I get the koi, but I probably wouldn't have chosen a fish, but I get why they chose the koi. But yeah, that's what I picked for my favorite minors in this one. I know they're called minors, but if it wasn't this, it probably would have been the 8s. But in general, my favorite number is probably the 4s. Okay, and then the next question is, what card reminds you to relax when it comes up? It's the 4 of Swords. That is, in general, the card. But for me, I do like the depiction in this because that's what I do. So when I see 4 of Swords, I'm like, okay, it's time to be still. It's time to go within. It's time to meditate, do some breath work, and rest. So it does have a sort of spiritual tone to me as well, and that's why I really do like the way that they depicted the 4 of Swords in this card. The next question is your favorite representation of the color blue. So in this deck, it's the moon card, and I love that they've done a blue moon. So it's just really drawn my attention to the blue moon. I like the shadowy aspects around it, and there's a wise old owl on a branch, sort of hinting at sort of intuition. I'm sorry for that sound. My cat's decided to go to the bathroom while I'm filming. But this was the pop of blue in this deck that really drew my attention the most. The next question is your favorite representation of a particular card. So that's 5 of Cups. I normally do not like the 5 of Cups in decks. They tend to be of the, you know, dude looking down at, you know, the cups on the ground. That doesn't really feel like anything to me. This one does. So the reason why they've chosen this, the rain represents feelings of sadness, but also an opportunity for cleansing. And the window shows you that you are separated from what's happening. So even though it is raining outside and the weather outside is rough or unpleasant, you yourself inside safe and dry. So I like that depiction of sometimes what's going on externally or internally doesn't always match up, and you've got to possibly change your perspective and your frame of mind to avoid focusing on the negatives and sort of wallowing in your own self-pity. And yeah, it's just all about, you know, reframing what you're thinking and understand, you know, finding the blessings in the little things, instead of just focusing on whatever is going wrong or whatever is making you sad and unsticking yourself. So I like the way they depicted the 5 of Cups. The next question is, what card makes me feel nostalgic? I apologize if the mower is loud, but everyone around me is always gardening, so it's almost impossible not to film with noise. So this card makes me feel nostalgic. It's a 3 of Cups, which is generally about friendships and relationships, and for me, drinking tea and having a bicky with some flowers on the table. That's exactly what I do. Whenever I catch up, whenever I connect with people, it is around this sort of event. We're all just sitting, having a cuppa and a chat and reconnecting. So that's why this is nostalgic to me, because it's like something that I do a lot in my life and it really encapsulates that moment. The next question is, what card shifts my perspective? And I picked this card, which they have renamed Perspective. So this is normally the Hanged Man card. And this is a card that reminds me to change my perspective. And I like that this one isn't just a person hanging upside down, which is not really something that I do. Instead, they've got a different vantage point. So they are rising above and looking at things with a new perspective, with a new angle, from a different orientation. And there's a hopefulness. I think hot air balloons sort of represent to me like, you know, a greater picture. Let's have a greater picture and let's rise above the issues and get some distance from them, so that our judgment and actions are not so heavily colored by us, you know, being too close to the situation. So this one, Perspective. The next question is, what's my favorite animal that's represented? It's a black kitty. I love my black cats. I have one, but I love cats. And it's in the Queen of Wands, which is fantastic. It's with sunflowers, which are one of my favorite flowers, and there's candles. And I think that gemstone, it looks like it might be citrine, but I'm just going to check on that because I'm not 100% sure. Oh, orange calcite. Still lovely. So a lot about the sacral chakra, obviously, in this, but I love the depiction of the black cat with the amber eyes, with the stardust. It's just a very happy picture, and I love my kitties. Next question. Which court card reminds you the most of heartbreak? Okay, so this is not visually. Action of Wands is Knight of Wands, and that's because my last relationship that ended recently, that person to me was the Knight of Wands. That's the energy that they embodied. They were younger than me, and they were just full of that fire and zest and creativity and impulsivity, and not really making future plans, and not really one for like committing to one thing, and just, you know, that is the energy of them. So this kind of makes me sad because it's like I sort of lost my Knight of Wands person. We're still best friends, as you would know if you've watched any of my channels. So still in my life, but is no longer, you know, the love of my life, and it makes me sad. But I understand that, you know, our journey together as lovers just come to an end. We've learned all we can from each other in a romantic relationship, and it's just, yeah, the way it is, you know, sort of we now have to go on our separate journeys and learn things separate from one another. And but I'm still glad to have their presence. It's just, yeah, this card makes me sad because it reminds me of a particular person whom I loved in a romantic way and no longer. The next question is, which card constantly follows me from this deck? This is a stalker card in this deck, and it's the Emperor card. I don't know why, but in this deck, man, the Emperor card is my stalker card. And if I'm trying to understand why it gives it to me, I think it's that sometimes I can feel a little self-conscious about how much of a masculine energy I have, how much of a provider and a leader I am, and like the Aries in me is my rising sign. So sometimes I'm always like self-conscious about it because I think I need to be more yin, I need to get into that energy a bit more and tap into my feminine. And stop living so much from my masculine. But it's like, yeah, look, sometimes I got to step into emperor mode, you know, single mum. Sometimes you got to be the emperor and the empress, and ain't nothing wrong with that. And I think that's why it's a stalker card for me, you know. I'm both the lion and the lioness in my little pride of little baby lions. Okay, the next question is, if I made this deck a meal, what would it be? And I'll just go through the deck while I'm doing these. I love the backs of these, first of all, guys, like, how stunning, how cute, how pastel. So if I was going to make this deck a meal, that was a hard one. It took me a while, but it's a dessert platter. This deck definitely has a lot of sweetness, but it likes variety. It likes difference. So it would be a sweets platter. So heavy on the fruits, because I think it really does love the fruits, but it still wants its chocolate or its brownie bites or its marshmallows as well. So I would feed this deck a dessert platter. And then the next question is, what is this deck's favorite book? And this was a bit tough because I read like 400 books a year. So I read a lot of books, but I think for me, this deck would be The Magic Faraway Tree. I feel a lot of child energy from this deck, like inner child energy, the joy of wonder and awe and magic and like newness. So for me, it would be a childhood book that sort of brought to light all of this idea of possible worlds. Like every card in this deck is like a new world. Like at the top of the magic faraway tree, you didn't know what you were going to get, but every world up there, it was an adventure in some way. And obviously you get to meet a cast of characters who live in the tree as well on your adventures. So I would pick the magic faraway tree for this particular deck. The next question is, if you were to travel anywhere, where would you take this deck? So I did a lot of travel in my early years because I wanted to sort of get it all done before I had kids. So I have been very, very fortunate that I visited a lot of places. At this point in my life, I'm really not big on travel. The thought of going on an aeroplane in an airport and flying it and carrying my luggage and all that sort of stuff just exhausts me. The thought of it exhausts me. I don't have the wanderlust in me right now. So for me, where would I take it? Most likely I would just stay within my country in Australia, which is still pretty damn big. But I just go up north to Noosa. Noosa is in Queensland, which is a state that is always warm all year round. So if I felt like escaping the winter blues, I'd head up to Noosa, which is a little beach town, which isn't too sleepy. It still has modern amenities. So I know I can get whatever I need, but it's way quieter than Melbourne and a lot more chill. And I can just sit on the beach and have some snacks and pull out this deck. So the next question is, where would this deck want to go? So this deck, I get a lot of, I'm going to say it now when you got all these like dark cards, but I get a lot of warmth from this deck. It likes the sun, it likes islands, and the first place that just came to mind was the Seychelles. I've never been to the Seychelles. Is it the Seychelles? But that's what came into mind. So I'm like, all right, it wants to go to a, an island far from here, and that's where it would want to go. The next question is something I would change about the deck. I'll probably just change the court card names to the original ones. Like instead of action, it's night. You know what I mean? It's just easier for me not to be like, okay, what was embodiment, king or queen? Embodiment is king. So that's the one thing I'll change about this deck, is just changing the court card names back to the originals for sake of ease, The next question is, which card would I hang in my house? I'll move this down. Which card would I hang in my house? And I was trying to think, in my house at the moment, it's dedicated to my kids. So all of my aesthetic choices were based on fun and whimsy for the children to make a home that they feel safe and comfortable in. And so I thought, which card would my kids like the most on the wall? And it's this one. There's adorable bunnies and magic and flowers, and our living room is mostly nature themed, and the colors in our living room are green, pink, and light browns, neutrals. So this is probably what would go the most. This would make my kids really happy. So this is the one that I would pick at the moment to hang in my home. When my kids move out and I get to actually buy furniture that I like and that I don't have to fear is going to get destroyed, because when you have 2 kids and 4 cats, it's like, don't have nice things because they will be ruined. The next question is something that sets the deck apart from other decks. Look, I think the peach matte edging is really different and unique. I haven't seen that in any other decks. That this has a quite varied imagery in it. It's not really, like I said, homogeneous. It's quite vast. This deck also likes to key into whatever little pictures are on there. So it'll tell you, we've done this for that, that for that, that for that. So any imagery you see in there, they will break down why they chose those in there. And look, it's really well made. It's well made. I haven't seen anything else that's exactly like this. It is quite unique in its aesthetic and its themes. So yeah, it was kind of one of a kind pretty much. It's also got quite a lot of unique cards in here, which is fantastic. So I think it's got 3 extra cards. So that's also something that sets it apart. The next question, if this oneness deck could have one superpower, what would it be? Transfiguration. Straight away, I'm like, this card would be turning into whatever it wants, shape-shifting into whatever it wants, whether it's an animal, whether it's a person, whether it's an object. This is transfiguration, because that's the energy that I get from this deck. The next question is, what card would be my pet? So I'm going back to this one. Black cat, bruh. Like, I'm a cat lady, to the bone, to the soul, to my core. It's cats for life. So this one right here. What would I call it? I don't know. What does this cat look like? An onyx? Maybe a Pandora? Something of that vein? Hello, my little cat. My cats are playing with them while I am doing this. Okay, the next question is, what is the deck's biggest fear? So I'll keep going through the decks again. The biggest fear for this deck, oh, I pulled a card actually for this one, and it came up as this, which is the Page of Swords. So the biggest fear for this deck, I think, is not being able to communicate what it wants to say to me. So that is the biggest fear, not being understood, not being able to get the message across, and me not understanding it. That is this deck's biggest fear. The next question is, if the deck had its own collection, what would it be? So I'll bring the deck back. And the thing that came to my mind straight away is this is a deck that collects pebbles. Not gemstones, pebbles. It wants something from the earth, and anytime it goes for a walk somewhere and it sees a pebble it likes, it pockets it. So this deck would have a pebble collection. The next question is, draw 3 cards. So I'm going to do this one last because I have to mix them all up. So I will come back to this question. Okay, what is the deck's signature scent flavor? For me, straight away, frangipanis. I don't know why, it just came. Look, I think it's the whole vibe of it. Likes the tropics, it likes island life, it likes being chill and calm and relaxed, taking it easy. So frangipani is what came to mind. In terms of flavor, well, I get tropical flavors straight away. I'm like a bit of coconut, some lime, some vanilla, the lime in the coconut, maybe a pina colada, maybe that would be its flavor. The next question is, who is the deck in love with? And once again, intuitively, the first name that came to mind was Erykah Badu. Don't ask me why. That is who this deck loves. Erykah Badu is who this deck is vibing with, and who they consider a goddess. So Erykah Badu. The next question is, how old does this deck believe it is? That's hard. It's like, how old is this deck? Look, I get a youthful energy from this deck. So I get a real like 17, you know, sort of still in the teens, but on the cusp of adulthood, but not yet having the responsibility of it. So you still got that zest for life. You still have your passions. You still have all of your lofty ideals and dreams and the curiosity and energy to accomplish anything. Like, the potential is there. It's like unlimited potential. So I'm going to say 17. Then it's, who is the deck's father? So I asked the deck, who's your father? And it gave me Spirit of Swords, and Spirit of Swords is Queen of Swords. So this deck has mums. No daddies, just mamas. So that is the deck's father. And then it says, what is the gender of this deck? So a female. I'm getting female vibes, feminine. Just women in general, I guess, is the energy I get from this deck. And then, what is my least favorite card and why? And it's this one. High Priestess is a card I normally love in decks. This does not do it for me at all for High Priestess. It's so basic, bro. And it's really like computer image generated. There is just no, je ne sais quoi-ness about it whatsoever. The mystery is not there. It is just real beige and bland. And for such an enigmatic card, mystical card, this, are you kidding me with this? So no, I'm going to just look in the book to see like why they picked this imagery. I'm like, what they're going to talk about, the pillow in the corner. Oh my God. Okay. So, okay, they've said we've got female and male elements in this deck, in this picture. I don't know, I'm guessing this, yin and yang. Is that what they're talking about? The black and white curtains? I don't know. There's a moon. Okay, yes, that's fine. A pomegranate. Where's the pomegranate? Oh, on the cushion. There's a pomegranate print. And then we've got the Taurus scroll and the veils, dark and light. Okay, so, sure. Oh, male, female. They're right there. Just the signs. I don't like it. And the next card is what's your favorite? Here, it's a death card. So in this one, they've called it death and rebirth. Death card is always normally a favorite for me because I am a Scorpio and I resonate a lot with it. It's pretty much a big theme in my life is the death card. But this one also emphasizes that it's not just about the death of something, it's then the rebirth afterwards, the transformation, the phoenix from the ashes. And I love all of the choices that they've put into here. So I will go through everything so you can understand what they've put in here. So here we've got a black rose, which says symbolizes major changes and rebirth to bring hope and optimism. Then you've got fallen leaves, turkey tail fungi, and a tree stump. So this shows a cycle of life, things decomposing, new life springing forth, the endless cycle. We have the snake, which is common in healing or transformation, shedding the old, making room for the new. And this says it's because it slithers on the ground, it shows its connection to the energy of Gaia or Earth, which I think is fantastic. And then the Tudor rose, which is says references the historical War of the Roses during the 15th century. After so much death came the peace of the Tudor dynasty. So yeah, I really like this card. I love the aesthetic of it and the vibes, guys. The next question is, does any card remind you of someone who? So obviously I have the Knight of Wands, reminds me of my ex. But otherwise this card reminds me of my oldest daughter. So she loves succulents. And because of her now, I've literally just purchased succulents for my youngest daughter and I, so we can join her as succulent loving chicks. But this just reminds me of her and her energy. She's a Virgo. And she loves all of the colors in succulents, like the blues and the greens and the cool tones, and it's called the present moment. So this reminds me to be present with my children so that I don't miss them, you know, like I don't miss out on their childhood. And every day they change in little ways, like the person they were the day before is gone and a new person is emerging. So it's just like, I love to see all the iterations of themselves as they grow and learn and change, and to witness it. Try to remind myself to witness all of it, because one day they won't be here. They'll have their own lives and their own adventures, and I'll have just my memories mostly, unless they actually visit their mum. But, you know, I'm not going to oblige them. I'm not going to, you know, guilt them into coming to see me. So then we've got, but then again in this today's financial climate, they might be living with me until they're 60 years old. Like, let's be real. How are they going to afford to buy a house? I don't know, man. It's nuts out there. Then it's, which card in the deck do you feel represents me right now? Man, that is the Eight of Cups, because this is what I'm going through right now. This one was really hard to see as well, because it's like, you got to cut cords. I'm like, I don't necessarily want to cut cords. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do that ritual, you know. But yeah, it's like my ties, you know, to another person, I have to cut them in some ways. And it's just like, I don't want to. I don't want to, and I don't want to walk away. But, you know, I have to. Parts of it have died. And just like when you deadhead your plants, I've got to deadhead the parts of our relationship that have died and have to be let go of, so that the other parts of our relationship can thrive, and I can also, you know, form new shoots with somebody else. So yeah, this card is my energy right now. The next question is, what card in this deck do you feel gives a unique spin on your regular opinion of the card? That is Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands in a lot of decks is the goddamn boring 8 sticks in the air. I hate it. It does nothing for me. It's like, what does this mean? 8 sticks flying through the air. Like, please use your imagination. So when I saw this one, I freaking loved it, man. I'm like, zoom, zoom, zoom. You know, we're going on a trip. We're heading to the beach. We're going on an adventure. We're going on a holiday. We're, you know, driving through. Everything's, you know, whipping past me in the windows. So I feel the pace. They've also chosen autumn here. So they're like, keep a mind open for changes that come after the rapid wave of energy you're now on. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's a different perspective. I like that kind of thing. Like, hey, yeah, things are going real fast right now, but understand, like, after this, it's the momentum's eventually going to stop, and what's going to happen then. They've done the road, like, where are you going to? What's the where's this road going to take you? So, you know, I love it. And there's no traffic. There's nothing stopping you, baby. Don't stop me now. That's what I mean. I just get the energy from this. Just window down, hair blowing in the breeze, tunes on, and we're on our way. We're on our way. 8 of Wands. The next question is, which card in this deck makes me laugh? Yeah. It's just so cringe. I'm laughing at the cringiness of it. This dude and the devil, like, no, it just doesn't really do anything for me in terms of like representing maybe toxic habits or thought patterns or addictions and things like that. This is just some cringy dude who is probably on the cover of some fantasy romance paranormal book as like the stuck, as you know, the man that's tempting you, the tempter. But this just makes me laugh because just, yeah, that's no. The next question is, which card in this deck makes you feel calm or seen or emotional? This is like such a throwback to childhood. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, making friendship bands was such a thing. The way I would do it is I would get a safety pin and like pin the loop to my jeans and just make them. And I made them for all my besties, and that's what we were doing, just making friendship bands. Pressing flowers was also a big thing in my childhood. Having lockets, taking photos of random shit too, like your feet all together, whatever it was. I just like it. Postcards were a thing back then. I don't know if people even still do postcards. I really don't think they do. I haven't gotten a postcard in ages and I don't send them, but that was a thing back then. So this just reminds me of a time in my life. And it's like, oh yeah, you know, childhood pets, just swinging on the swings. I can't even swing on a swing anymore without feeling sick. Old age, my friends, old age. So this just says me, going back in time to that childlike era. And I was like, yeah, man, thanks for bringing me back. The next question is, what is the outlier card of this deck? For me, once again, it's this one. It just has no effort. The other ones have effort. They have rhyme and reason. This one just feels like the bare minimum, you know? So I just find it sticks out a lot because it's just like, okay, sure. Why though? Could have done so much more. Because like it's also a major arcana. Like you think they'd put the most effort into those. But yes, this one is the outlier. The last one is, what is the deck's favorite spread? And for me, that would be like past, present, future. That's what I would say for this card. It likes the threes, and other ones would be like body, mind, soul. Sorry, I'm just like getting the reading for myself while I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, I'll let the messages sink in. So that would be for that. So I'm going to go back to that other question that I couldn't do before, which is draw 3 random cards, and it's for fuck, marry, or kill. Okay, for bang, I got the King of Pentacles. I'm down with that. Like I would love a King of Pentacles to complement my energy, which I feel like is Queen of Pentacles. So yeah, find me my counterpart. Thank you. So for marry, I got 7 of Pentacles. I'm like, hard worker. Is that things that come to mind for marry? A hard worker, or maybe a laborer, or someone that, like my ex was a gardener, someone that works with nature and the earth. For that one, someone who's willing to put in the effort to build a future together. So and for kill, we have Page of Wands. Okay. You know, ex was Knight of Wands, so don't go younger. I wasn't planning on dating younger. I'm definitely not looking at that at all. I was like, okay, we got to age up my age range, because yeah, my ex was 8 years apart from me, and that was a big thing. We're just in different parts of our life, different stages of our life, and in that relationship I did feel too much like the responsible one, you know what I mean, like the adult, and I don't love being the adult in the relationship. I kind of like being the silly goose, the big kid, or the equal, rather than the one with the most authority and making all the decisions. So yeah, Page of Wands, we're not going with that. And maybe also wands in general. Maybe I should look for less fiery creative types and more stable earth types, I think, to ground me as well. So yeah, this was a freaking blast, man. I love doing this. This is amazing. Whoever the group is on the Discord that did this. This was super fun, guys, and can't wait to see everybody's, because I think this is real grand. Even if we all chose the same deck, all the answers would be different, I feel. So had a blast. I hope that wherever you are having a wicked good morning, afternoon, or evening, and as always, stay wild, star child.